Sienci Labs no longer offers a laser attachment for the LongMill CNC machines, which kind of leaves a hole or a gap for those who really want a hybrid machine, you know, one that has the router attachment for CNCing, but also to have a laser attachment for engraving and cutting, and who knows what else you can do with it. But yeah, so that kind of leaves a gap. Now, fortunately, I've been provided with a laser module that I can attach to this CNC. It's called Opt Lasers. They've sent it to me just for full transparency. I didn't have to pay for it. They just sent it to me and asked if I would try it out and see what I thought. The focus of this video is really just to do a quick setup. I just want to take it out of the box. I'll show you that. To show you the quality of the packaging and how it's packaged. I'm just going to get on here good enough. I'm not going to do any fancy, you know, wire connections and everything like that. I'm just going to have them set up good enough to run and put it through the test to make sure it all works. Just to sort of see, I guess my focus is to see, you know, is it too complicated? Is it even worthwhile? Recommending if it's going to be too hard to even set up, you know, it's going to take days to set up the hardware and, you know, time to set up for the software. I may not recommend it, but if it, you know, if it seems to be something that's reasonable or even really easy, then for sure I'm going to make more videos with more details of the attachment, the mechanical attachment, but also the settings for the software, depending on which software you're going to use. So let's get this unboxed and get it going, and let's see how it works. So I've laid out everything that should be required to set up the laser module onto the CNC. So this is the laser module from Opt Lasers, and it's a 6-watt laser, and it has very, very precise specifications regards to the dot and the resolution. I'll leave that information either on screen here or down below in the description. I'll have a link to their site just so you can see it. But again, I'll do some more details regards to all of that in future videos should this work out. Yeah, so this is everything that should be required. So basically, this is the LongMill Mark 1 adapter for the LongMill. Sorry, this is the adapter for the LongMill Mark 1 because this is the Mark 1 or MK1 that I'm using. So they do send it with this adapter, as well as some screws to screw the laser module onto the adapter. Then you have, now there was another adapter, and I'm thinking might be for the Mark II, can't be for sure. But yeah, there is a different adapter that was sent with it. Can't figure it out being used on this one, so I'm thinking it might be for the Mark II, because I don't think they asked which type of LongMill you have, but I'll just chalk it up for that. But in any case, I'm sure I can get it set up with this. Laser module, the screws that come with it, they sent a whole bunch of screws, so different sizes of screws that you may need to attach the module, so you're good to go in any kind of situation depending on how you want to attach it. I'm just going to go with those 4 simple screws, and I'm going to use the 2 screws that are on there. Again, not going anything fancy at this point, just want to get it on there, try it out. You got your air nozzle here that you have to attach there. Now I already pre-screwed the inset screws here. There's 4 of them. They're very tiny, so I didn't want to lose them, so I've already put them into the air nozzle. You have a little screen here, protective screen. It goes on the bottom. You got your Opt Lasers adapter controller. Of course, safety goggles. I'm not going to go through all the safety procedures. Just be sure to wear your goggles. Of course, don't put any part of your body near the laser. Those kind of things. Well ventilated. Take all safety precautions. You have your focal point thing here to ensure that you have the right setting for your laser. You got tools, you got your Allen wrench and a screwdriver, and you also have an air hose for the air system there. Then you also have the wiring. So you have this wire that goes from the laser to the adapter, and I have this wire that goes to the long board. Now I've already attached it to the long board because it's way at the back there. I think I took a little video of it, but yeah, so I just already attached it. I'll show you when I get to that point. Very simple. And then I have some twist ties because, again, I'm not going to go into fully wiring it up, hidden wires or anything like that. I'm just going to do twisties, just good enough to get it for a test. And then we have our power supply for the adapter. And also, I guess it runs the laser. So let's start attaching this to the LongMill. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take off the little two screws here that hold the router in place. Now I already loosened them just to prepare for the video, of course. Otherwise it would have been tighter than that. I'll just take those two off. Get it ready. Put that aside. Next is I'm going to attach the module to the plate. Now it looks like you can either put it on this lower, or I guess you have the laser up higher, or I can set the laser lower. I'm going to set it lower so that way the screws are away from, the attachments are away from the laser module itself. Be a little bit accessible. So let's just put the screws in here, line up the holes. There. That took about a little under 2 minutes. Next, I'll attach the air nozzle. I think I would have wanted. Now, for the height of the air nozzle, there's documentation on their site to say what distance you want it, depending on what you're doing, whether you're cutting or you're engraving. Not coming off. Okay. And then you have this safety cap here just to help avoid getting blinded by the light when it's downwards. Okay, so that's all put together. Now we can attach it to the router assembly. Now I do need to still keep this part. It would be nice if I can just put it right on there, but it's going to be wobbly. So we'll use this piece here. I'll put the screw in and put this in here. You have another pair of hands, it'd be helpful probably, but we'll figure it out. Get it started, looks good. Get this one started. Nicely. Now, unfortunately, you don't have this size screw that's longer. So it would have been nice because I'm losing about 1/8 of an inch, a little over 1/8 of an inch there with the plate. So that's just screwed in like that. We'll just tighten them up. We don't want it falling off while we're doing some work. There we go. So that's the whole laser module that's connected onto it now. Now it's time for the connections of the wiring. So we have the first one here, the gray one connects to the module. The cool thing is they've all been pre-attached. So all you have to do is plug it in there. So plug and play, so to speak. Click that in there. And the cool thing is the other end is one wider. So you know you're not going to make a mistake of putting which one in the wrong socket. And then this one will plug in to the adapter here. But first I'm just going to run the wire onto the track and make sure I got all that in place before I plug it in here. So I'm just going to run it along the same as the router, somewhat. And again, I'm just going to use the twisty ties here. There we go. Again, nothing too fancy, just enough that it's not going to get caught underneath the laser and end up cutting it. So yeah, so then we just take the adapter and we will plug this one in here. Again, all nicely pre-attached. The only one that I had to, why I needed the screwdriver was to attach the long board connector onto the wiring. The wiring is already ready to go. I just had to attach that. So that's where that's for. On the website, they show you where it needs to be. So it needs to be on the spin PWM, I think, or power for the spindle. And looks like, so as long as I know the red is on the right and the black is on the left, for the ground, should be good to go. So I just need to get that connected. This is for the newer LongMill one, but this is the long box, the long board that I have. Yeah, all right. So it's upside down, but the one I want is spin PWM in the ground right there. So that's this connector right there. So I got my little screwdriver here. I'm just going to loosen the screws. Okay, so I've attached it to the long board and the PWM for the spindle. And now I just have to plug this part into the other end of the box. This is where the black cable is. And this is where the gray one goes. That just clicks in there like so. And the last thing is we just need to put the power on. There's the power. Plug that in there. Cable management, I should say. Let's put that there. Plug that in. And now we have the key. Okay, let's see if I can turn this on. So let's see, power on. We got it turning on. Very good. So it's disarmed. And then to arm it, I think you just push that button there. Let's see if I hear something. Good sign. The fan has come on. So we know it's getting power. Yeah. First test. A success. Now I just got to set up all the software and then I'll be able to do a test drive. I'm just going to shut the power off, disarm it, I should say, and then shut the power off with the key. There we go. So now the laser is disarmed. Now I forgot to mention, I'm not putting the air assist on it just yet. Because I'm just going to do a little test, little engraving test, nothing too fancy that I don't think is going to cause any issues without having the air assist. Because I do need to have an adapter for this hose, because it is quite small. I can either use the compressor that I use currently on the other laser, but I do have this pump that came with the laser, so it's nice and dusty. But you can see that the hose size is definitely going to be a different size. I need to get the adapter for that to connect on this tiny hose. So yeah, that I'll do a later time. Again, I just want to test it out, make sure that it's actually shooting some light out of that end of that laser module. So I've done most of all the settings, at least enough to get it going in the software. Now I'm using LightBurn. Now, if you're not familiar with LightBurn, we use this software for our laser engraver. And if you don't have to worry if you think, oh no, another learning curve, another software. If you've been using the CNC and you're using something like VCarve, the learning curve for LightBurn is maybe, if VCarve is something like this to learn, LightBurn, I would say, is like this much. It's really much easier software to understand once you get a feel for it, of course, like anything else. And there's a lot of videos on how to use LightBurn. And again, I'll show you specifically for this system how to get it set up as best as I know, anyways, so far. But I think I should be enough to get it working. I do have my controls here that I can control the laser, the CNC. The movement of the CNC machine. And so I should be able to get it all running enough to see if it can engrave something on there. So what I'm going to do is, or cut at least something simple. Actually, the first thing I need to do is to set the height of the laser, the focal point. So this is your measuring tool, and it has to be to the body of the laser, to the board of whatever you're going to be putting there. I just have a scrap piece of 1/8 birch here, plywood. So I'm just going to set that on top, and I'm going to bring the laser down very slowly, just to the point where it touches that wood. There we go. I think we're right where we need it to be. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a little circle design here, nothing fancy, because that's where the circle is going to be. Let's see. I don't know why I went that one extra line, but okay. Okay, so first I'm going to put my goggles on. Now I'm going to put the power on. Let it power up. We are going to put the laser on. And I'll bring the camera back over. Once I click play, it should just engrave a little circle. Yes, it worked. We got ourselves a little engraved circle. The laser's working. Let me try something a little bit more fancier. Let me put it this way. All right, something a little bit more intricate. Another little engraving or line engraving. Nice. Very nice. All right. That's a pretty fine detail. Let me do an actual engraving this time. Make it smaller though. I'm not sure what the settings I need to do for this one for engraving, but we'll give it a try with this setting. Wow, that is looking nice and crisp. Oh, I gotta take my goggles off, I can't see very well. Oh yeah, and I didn't even play around with the settings yet. First shot. That is nice. Okay, I think I'm going to give you my final thoughts of this laser. Let me shut things down, and yeah, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good being on a CNC machine. Okay, wow, I have to say, it went above and beyond what I expected for a first trial without even setting all the settings properly in LightBurn, because I know I can tweak it, because the dot on this laser is different than the dot on my other laser, which I have the settings set up for that one. This one I can change the settings, and I'm sure that I can get this even, at least double, if not more, clearer and sharper than it is right now. So I'm really excited to try that out in future videos, because that's my my verdict. I'm definitely going to be using this and recommending this, because the setup for this was fairly simple. As you saw, 4 screws to put the plate adapter onto the laser, and then 2 screws just to connect it to the laser. And then the wiring, again, I have to fix that up a little bit nicer. And but other than that, the connection of putting this on there didn't take that long. Within a half hour, you can have everything set up, at least good enough to run. Again, might take me another half hour to do it all, the cleaning up, but even that's not very long for a new laser in a sense. Where it might take a little bit longer is setting up the settings for the software, because you have to do some settings within GSender and settings in LightBurn. But once that's set up, I'd say maybe you might spend about an hour altogether, maybe less, depending on how good you are with the software. But I'll do definitely a video on that. I'll go through it all myself again, just to make sure that I get it all clean. Because if I were to videotape myself making mistakes and trying things, it would take forever. So I'll do a few practice runs to make sure I can get it set right. And so that if I show you how to set it up, that when you do it, it'll be ready to go within a few minutes, right? So yeah, all in all, so far, first impression, it's a thumbs up. Definitely would recommend it because of that aspect, and that it's essentially plug and play in a sense, other than, of course, you still have to know your software. But the physical side of things, definitely plug and play, and it works right out of the box. So really, ooh, that was loud. really happy with that. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing future videos of the setups, and also future projects that I'll be making with this, because I have a lot of ideas. Cool thing with the LongMill is that there's a lot of flexibility in what you can do with it, in the sense of adaptations should you want to expand. One of the things is that I can extend this arm here and get a longer arm that's 48 inches long, which makes this 48 inches by 30 inches. But the cool thing is, with this option to, if I took it away from the wall, I'd have an option to put a 4x8 sheet of plywood in here, and I can tile it if I want to do a full sheet of plywood, some kind of design or cuts. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm excited. Now, this is their mid-size laser that they have available. They do have two other sizes. They have a smaller one, not as precise as this one. I shouldn't say smaller. I think it's the same wattage, 6 watts, but doesn't have as precise laser beam as this one does. But then they also have a bigger one, a 45 watt, that's capable of cutting through 3/4 inch plywood. Now that I'm be interested in getting, because again, I can put a plywood in here. I can cut stuff out with the laser. I wouldn't even have to use the router to cut stuff out, because this laser is so much cleaner. I would just have to do some adaptations to the table. I'll have to put a metal sheet and then the grill on top, stuff like that. Enclosure just to capture the smoke. But I was always wanting to put an enclosure anyways, just because of all the dust. So some interesting videos coming down the line. So be sure to, again, subscribe to the channel. If you found this to be somewhat entertaining, or at least informative, hit the like button, and I'll see you here again at Dusty Workbench. Take care.